Alrighty, so I almost forgot that this match week is kind of a unique match week where not only the fact that we get a full slate of MLS action that's going to be happening on Saturday, but there's actually going to be two games that's going to be happening not in the normal Saturday or Sunday window. There's going to be a game on Friday for the very first time this season, and we also get a game on Thursday night as well. A rare Thursday night game between NYCFC versus Atlanta United that I completely forgot about. Luckily, I still remember that the Timbers and the Quakes game was on tonight, and I was able to watch both of them at the same time. But because of the fact that we have these two games that's happened that is not on Saturday, I should have just did the preview of both of these games when I did the news of the week episode on Wednesday. But obviously can't do it now because these two games have happened, and after when I do the review of both of these games, that's when I'll do the weekend's preview, which we're now going to only have 11 games that's going to be happening, and all of them is going to be happening on Saturday. And the only reason why we'll actually only get 13 games this match week is because there's two teams that's involving the Club World Cup already with Seattle and Inter Miami playing in the Club World Cup this weekend, which I'll do an individual review of those games as well. But with that being said, let us begin by talking about the rare Thursday game between NYCFC versus Atlanta. So this game was pretty close, at least heading into the second half, and then it just got out of hand relatively quick to a point where, yeah, remember all the time when Atlanta was doing well and finally winning those high-scoring games? It looked like they got themselves back on their feet. Yeah, that goodwill is all gone with the way that it seems like they're going back to the wrong direction right now this season. Now, in the first half, I thought NYCFC had most of the ball, but yeah, it was a bit of a snooze fest in the first 10 minutes of the game. The first shot came in the 12th minute when Morales had a shot that was deflected and goes wide. Then there was a check to see whether or not if Romero actually fouled Tiare in the box there, but VAR says no, so there was no penalty that was given to Atlanta. Martins then hits it right to Guzan, and as the shots were still 3-0 for NYCFC 30 minutes in, with NYCFC having most of the ball, and Atlanta just kind of barely had any attack going on so far. It looks like just one of those games again for this Atlanta team where they're pretty much lifeless going for it on the attacking end. But in the 32nd minute, Marunchuk would struck the post, and that was actually the first shot that Atlanta had got into this game. And that shot kind of woke up Atlanta because, as I said, for the first 30 minutes, they were kind of lifeless throughout this game. But that shot off the post, all of a sudden, they started to get more possession in the opponent half, more than they ever got in the first 30 minutes, and started creating some chances as well, including one that they actually put into the back of net, as Derek Williams would put the ball into the back net. The problem was the flag did not agree with him, so the goal was disallowed for offside there. It remains 0-0. Hernandez then heads it right to Romero in the 42nd minute, but then in the 44th minute, kind of against the run of play, Maxi Morales would score from Wolf to make it 1-0 in favor of NYCFC. I believe this is the first goal that Maxi Morales has scored this season. He definitely hasn't been contributing a lot in terms of the goal scoring assisting part, and maybe that's due to the fact that father time is kind of starting to catch up to him. But at the same time, this was an absolute gift that NYCFC got. Just came off a bad turnover there from Atlanta, most a lead from Brooks Lennon, and yeah, it's not the first time we said this season where Atlanta get the ball away cheaply at the back and gifting goal as that they have done that a lot this season. One of the biggest problem that this Atlanta United team has had this season, and here we go again. Them doing that, and all of a sudden found themselves 1-0 down, just as it looked like they were getting going on the attacking end. Fernandez did look for another, but he puts it wide as the flag went up before Maranchik would hit it right to Romero. But we do head to halftime with NYCFC leading 1-0. In the second half, Guzan would deny Bakra with his face there, but then 1 minute later, Bakra would score as he scored from Pereira to make it 2-0 in favor of NYCFC. So Bakra is no longer snake bitten. I think this season Munsa Bakra has definitely been playing much better. I don't know if he's going to get more minutes as a result of it. I remember last season when he was kind of the starter and eventually lost his starting role because he was just so snake bitten last season. I don't think this season has been the case. He's been much lethal going for it on the attacking end, and that was a banger too. I mean, that is a goal you would not see Munsa Bakra score last season. Just a banger of finish in the top corner. No chance for Guzan to save that one. And little do we know, that's when the goal scoring really start to come for NYCFC. Because just 2 minutes later, Hannes Wolf would score from Morales to make it 3-0. And then 2 minutes later, he scored again from Justin Hack to make it 4-0. It's a free goal blitz in a span of just 4 minutes for NYCFC. The Atlanta defense, if it was nowhere to be found before, it was nowhere to be found in any of the goal. I mean, the time that the heads dropped for this Atlanta defense just kind of sums up this season. It's been a rough season for this Atlanta team, and something tells me Ronnie Delia time with Atlanta United is taking down by the seconds, as will say. But Romero then denied latte laugh from close in the 62nd minute for a click, which puts it over from long range. NYCFC did start it to put the foot off the gas, and I feel like they can afford to do so. I mean, you're up 4-0 in this one. You're facing against an Atlanta team that look like they're down and out, and they've already waved the white flag ever since going down to 4-0. And yeah, in the end, that was the final score of this game. Not much really happened. It feels like both of these teams were just kind of playing out of the string. And in the end, NYCFC gets the big 4-0 win. The shots in this one, 11 shots for the 8 that Atlanta has, 3 shots on goal for the 6 that NYCFC had, no shots that was off target for the 2 that Atlanta has, 1 shot that was blocked for the 4 that NYCFC had, and possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession that this Atlanta United team has had. I mean, what else I have to say about Atlanta United? I haven't said this season. It's been a disastrous season. It's been a season that is just everything that can go wrong for this Atlanta team has gone wrong. It's not just the fact of the $50 million attack once again for producing a zero on the scoreline, but the defense. I mean, it is tough to watch. And right now, if you're an Atlanta United fan, I don't blame you for not tuning in or even showing up to games because it is a hard product to watch. And again, heads are going to have to be rolled with this team. There's definitely going to have to be some firing that could happen. And again, for Ronnie Delia, I talk about in terms of coaches sitting in the hot seat. Troy Lesane is one of them. I'm kind of surprised he survived coming out of that 7-1 beatdown that DC suffered just last week against Chicago. But do not be surprised if Ronnie Delia might be the one joining him in the unemployment line later because I mean, you just feel like this is a team that it looks completely defeated and look like a team that also is not really playing for Ronnie Daly anymore. And anytime when you see players are not playing for their coaches, yeah, that's usually the time when the front office has to make that decision to fire him. Now, moving on into the game that just ended a couple of minutes ago between the Quakes and the Portland Timbers. And I gotta say, I did not see this coming. I did not see the Quakes were going to somehow get an equalizer late in this game. And this is despite the fact that yes, the Quakes had a lot of chances. And ironically, they had a lot of chances when they were down a man in this one. Like when they were playing even strength in this one, the Timbers were by far the better team in this game. But as soon as they went down a man, it's almost like something just kind of clicked for them on the attack, and they created a lot of chances, weren't able to take advantage of it, and then they give up a goal there. And I thought, yep, this feels like it's your typical Quakes game where anytime when the Quakes play against the Portland Timbers, it's always an automatic L. They have never won at Providence Park, and even though they never won here coming out of this game as well. This feels probably the closest for them to finally get their first ever win at Providence Park. And really, for the Portland Timbers, they have no one to blame for themselves in this game. And how many times I've said that when you're leading in a game late in the game, when you have a 1-0 lead, and especially with the way that the Timbers has kind of been sloppy at the back at time, and also let's not to mention that unfortunately I'm gonna have to bring back that old narrative of the Timbers have their trouble at times in years past in terms of closing out games. Yep, there we go again in this game. Now, in the first half, first shot of the game did see Anthony puts it over from long range. So it was shout for a penalty for the Timbers not given. The Timbers were definitely on the front foot early on. The Quakes, they did not start off time in this game whatsoever. And I thought, yep, this kind of feels like it's a familiar sight for the Quakes. They're just absolutely cursed right now whenever they play the Portland Timbers at Providence Park. They're not allowed to get a win, and it seems like this is probably going to be easy work for the Portland Timbers in this one. Danielle then denied Mora from close range, so this was the first game that Danielle comes back. I thought he had a pretty solid game, except for the goal that he conceded. That I feel like he probably could have done better, but more on that. Speaking of goals, it looked like Anthony got the opener for the Timbers, but the flag did not agree with him there, so the goal was disallowed for offside. It was all Timbers early in this one. And the Quakes, they gotta wake up because it just feels like it's inevitable with all the pressure that the Timbers were putting. They were gonna take the lead in a matter of time. The first shot of the game did see the Quakes have LaRue puts it wide from the doorstep of goal. So that was actually a glorious opportunity for the Quakes on the set piece I thought the set pieces was dangerous for the Quakes in this one, and not a big surprise because the Timbers at times do struggle in terms of defending set pieces. Arango then blast one to Washington State before Romney would flick one to the side netting from the corner, and it feels like the Quakes probably saw what I wrote when I said it's been all Timbers and it was inevitable that they were going to score if the Quakes didn't wake up, because they definitely have woken up. They have survived the original pressure that Portland put, and now they were creating a couple of half chances. Pantemis then denied LaRue, but it did fall to Pellegrino there, and yeah, you know what's gonna happen when a rebound is put right to Pellegrino. In it, even on the doormat there, he's not gonna score. He's just pretty much snake bitten this season. And I even wrote that's 1-0 for the Quakes if it didn't fall to Pellegrino. Anybody besides Pellegrino, that's 1-0 in favor of the Quakes. And I'm just once again asking, why in the world is he still getting starting minutes for this team? There is no reason for him to get starting minutes. Heck, I'm even going to take Preston Judd over Pellegrino, and I know that sounds crazy because Judd hasn't been doing well this season. Well, I say that, but he's actually done a much better, and he played a big part in this game as well. But why are we still putting Pellegrino game after game when you know clearly he doesn't have it? He can get you in some good spot, but he's not going to put the ball into the back net. And for a player that is supposed to be built to score goals, yeah, that is just simply not good enough. It doesn't really matter what kind of position he gets. He just always fluffs the line, and I'm getting tired of seeing that over and over again. Anthony then hits it right to Danielle in the 27th minute before Harks puts it wide from close. Danielle then denied DaCosta from long range in the 36th minute. I mean, up to this point, this is where I'm just thankful that Danielle is back in goal, because I'm pretty sure if Earl Edwards Jr. was in this game, this probably would have been 2-0 in favor of the Timbers, and I'm not even exaggerating. Mora then had a header that was clear off the line. The Timbers were once again ramping up the pressure and was pressing for the opening goal. Anthony would then hits it right to Danielle before Pantemis would deny Narango as the flag went up in the 3rd minute of stoppage time. And even though Chicho didn't get a goal in this one, I thought he was lively in this one. And this is not a big surprise. This is his first game back since his injury, and he definitely looked hungry out there. But we do head to halftime with the score scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, the post would deny Costa from close, and then we had a bit of a controversial moment. So Ian Harks, of course, gets a second yellow card on really just kind of a needless foul there, I think, in my opinion, on Diego Chara. Though I will say that, yeah, it feels like Diego Chara kind of sold that a little bit. I feel like that maybe is a little bit of a soft second yellow card in my opinion. But nevertheless, I mean, when you commit the challenge there, you're basically at the mercy of the referee to hope to not send you off. And apparently the referee says that's enough for a second yellow. So the Quakes were down to 10 men, and I'm just thinking, oh, yep, I know how this script is going to end. And I even wrote, if the bus wasn't parked before the Quakes in this one, it is pretty much firmly parked, because I just feel like they're gonna have to try to nurse this no resort, which, for me, I don't think that's gonna happen, because the Timbers are gonna continue to press for the opening goal. Though I say that, but Costa would then heads it wide as the flag went up before Arango puts it wide from long range. And I mean, I take back what I said, because again, it feels like probably the Quakes read what I wrote on the board and they're trying to do the complete opposite of what I wrote. So I guess this is just reverse psychology that I'm using in terms of writing these notes and as I was watching this game. But yeah, they somehow are starting to gain some momentum. And again, it's weird to see the fact that they were playing much better on the attack when they're down to 10 men than when they're at 11. It makes no sense whatsoever. But hey, I guess that's how it is. Though I say it doesn't make sense. Maybe this is where I also say with the Portland Timbers, when they are up a man, and we've seen this happen before when teams are up a man, there might be some complacency that is being shown, especially on the defensive end, thinking, oh, now they're down to 10 men, we maybe relax a little bit on the defense or even in the midfield, when that could be harder from the truth. Because even though when you're down a man in the game, we've seen before where even a 10 man could be the better side, because now have to work extra hard and have that extra motivation to not only defend but maybe even caught out the team that has the man advantage that maybe is showing some complacency. And I really think this was kind of an example of it. The Timbers were showing some complacency, especially on the back line, where it starts to kind of reel its ugly head. Again, this has been the problem I think we said about the Timbers this season. As good as they have been this year, the defense this season has not been great. And while it was solid for majority of the first half, again, the second half, that's when it started to reel its ugly head. And this is kind of the reason why the Quakes started to get good chances and were looking to get the opener themselves. Pantemis would then deny Espinoza from close before LaRue would hit it right to Pantemis. You would thought the Quakes would be up a man right now. I mean, if you're watching this, you would have never guessed the Quakes were down to 10 men. They were now pressing hard to try to get the opener in this game against this Timbers defense. But instead, in the 71st minute, really kind of against the run of play, Mascaro would score from Mora to give the Timbers a 1-0 lead. Yeah, that is one that, it's not an easy save, but I feel like the quality that Daniel has shown, and I have seen him make those saves before from close range like that. I feel like he probably should have saved this one. He did get a hand to it, and I think he probably would agree with me that he probably should have done much better in terms of pushing that out. But at the same time, again, you just had a feeling with the way that the Timbers were putting the pressure, and even though they were starting to looked like they were on the edge a little bit. There was never a doubt the fact that the Quakes are just simply cursed at Providence Park. You knew that eventually they're going to give that opener, and also again the theme of this game was really just miss opportunity, and I just feel like, oh boy, this is one of those games again. I've seen this so many times this season where the Quakes are being wasteful in front of goal, winning the expectancy goal battle, but end up losing the game because they can't finish if their life depends on it. Arango did look to answer, but it was deflected wide before Espinoza almost scored an Olympic goal here. Pantemis, he actually reacted late in this one, but just about palms this one away. To the Quakes' credit, they were not backing down. They were looking to try to get the equalizer now. Zubarich would then hits it over from the corner before Daniel denied DaCosta from close. That would be a big save coming out of this game, especially with the resort, because yeah, that was a chance for the Timbers to put it away. In fact, they thought they finally did in the 90th minute when Kevin Kelsey put it into the back net. He round Daniel there and puts it into the empty net. But the goal, of course, was disallowed for offside because yeah, there was an offside on the development of play there, and that would be huge because just 2 minutes after what could have been the second and would have been lights out at Providence Park, Preston Judd would score to tie the game up in the second minute of stoppage time, and it was a rare gift for the Quakes as well. I don't usually see the Quakes get gifted goals here this season, but this was one of those moments where, yeah, just a juicy rebound allowed by Pantemis, who it's a shame too because he was really, I think, in my opinion, the only reason why he kept the Quakes scoreless for very long. He makes some big save here, but or big save from the previous attempt, but here he kind of become from hero to villain here. It also doesn't help the fact that yeah, that Timbers backline just kind of ball watches as Pantemis gather that try to gather that one, but at the same time, yeah, Pantemis, he's got to get that one. He cannot allow a juicy rebound right on the doorstep of Preston Judd, who tucks it away, and yeah, just like that, the game was tied up at one apiece, and that would be the final scoreline of this game for only the fifth time in the history of the San Jose Earthquakes. They got a draw against the Portland Timbers at Providence Park. And although, yes, they still have never won at Providence Park, and the curse still live on of them searching for their first 3 points against the Portland Timbers, this feels like the closest to a win, especially on the fact that I thought this was another one of those games where the Timbers are gonna get 3 points because it's like clockwork whenever they play the Quakes at Providence Park. They're gonna guarantee to get a 3 points uh, every single time, and this was not one of them. Shots in this one: 16 shots for the 13 that the Timbers had, 5 shots on goal for the 7 that the Quakes had, 6 shots off target for the 3 that the Timbers had, 3 shots as blocked for the 1 that the Quakes had, and possession-wise, 59% possession compared to 41% possession the Quakes has in this game. And while the Quakes will feel like this is an absolute win, this will feel like an absolute loss for the Portland Timbers. Again, they have no one to blame but themselves for this game. They were up a man in this game. They got complacent, not getting that second goal as well late in the game. And yeah, how many times we've said when you don't kill your opponent off and not getting that crucial second goal, it only take one mistake that you can make on the defensive end, especially with how fragile this defense has been for the Timbers this season, giving up a lot of goals. You just kind of had a sense that was always going to happen. Even though, as a Quakes fan, I'm gonna be completely honest, I definitely didn't see it that coming with the way that the Quakes somehow rescue themselves a draw to a place where it's pretty much like a house of horror for them over the years. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of these review of these two games. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of these two games. And now, after this video, I'll be doing the preview of the weekend's action. We're gonna have 11 games this weekend, and this is gonna be the final weekend before we have a bit of a break because of the Club World Cup and the Gold Cup and the MLS action won't kick off until in the last week of June. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.